Hey Genesis Church, my name is Christina Williams and I am the Executive Director of Circles NWA. And the passage I have for today is Matthew 25, 1 through 30. And this is part of a series of parables and teachings from Jesus about being ready. And previous passages have Jesus making differentiations between those who are prepared and alert and those who are not. And the passage today really continues this. So first, there's a passage about 10 virgins or 10 young bridesmaids. 5 of these young women are described as wise, and they were prepared with extra oil, so when the groom finally arrived, they were ready to greet him and enter into the wedding feast. 5 of the young women are described as foolish because they didn't bring extra oil. And in the time that it took to go back into town and to buy more, the wedding feast started without them and they were locked out. And in the second story, we have a master who gives his servants money. He entrusts them with his money and then he leaves town. And it says after a long time, he comes back and he checks in on his servants. 2 of the servants he praises because they gained more, while one servant he calls evil and lazy because this servant just buried the money in the dirt. The 2 servants get to celebrate with the master while the other servant is thrown out. So what do we have going on in these 2 passages? We have those who were able to join the celebration and those who are not. Those who were able to join the celebration were ready. But what does it mean to be ready? I think we've all heard about people who have built bunkers or have gone, to sit on the mountaintop to wait for a second coming. But, I think when we sit around, we fall asleep, both metaphorically and otherwise. And so I think being ready is about being engaged and active in the work while the master is away. This is the work in the garden, planting seeds, watering the seeds. This is the work of mercy in the streets, caring for others who are sick and injured and vulnerable. And this is the work of justice, identifying and resisting the patterns in our world, to quote Romans 12:2, the patterns in our world, those things that we see systematically happen over and over again to oppress people, to unfairly burden groups of people. These rules that we create to build a 2-class system where people are treated differently based on, the means they have versus those that don't have means. And to fail to see that everyone is precious. This is what I teach my kids. I have them say it to me over and over. Everyone is precious. This is the work, not to steal the next person's thunder who's going after me, but this is the work that Jesus talks about later in Matthew 25. And this can be risky work. To look at the servants, they invested the money. And investment is not without risk, right? Doing the work of mercy and justice is not without risk. You can be hurt when you try to be merciful and help other people. You can see your name, your business, your livelihood, your reputation ruined when you try to stand up to power, to fight against injustice. You can even lose your life, like we saw in the civil rights movement. But the work that prepares you for the groom, for the master's return, that's not without risk. But it's what makes you ready for the return. Because, let's be honest, it's tiring waiting around for the groom, right? Sometimes you get tired and you just want to fall asleep. Just tired of all this waiting, and all 10 of the bridesmaids fell asleep. The disciples fell asleep, So, I get it. It seems like a very human thing to do. But, falling asleep wasn't the problem in this passage. What differentiated the young women was who was prepared and who had to go back and try to cram it in to no avail. And so what this passage tells me about Jesus is that he wants us to be ready for his return and ready for life in the kingdom. And doing the work of mercy and justice is readying us for the kingdom and for the king. So thank you. I'm glad we got to share today, and hope you have a good rest of the day.